Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at something that drives people completely crazy. Borehole pump startup surge failures. I mean, picture this. It is literally the ultimate off-grid frustration. You flip the switch on your perfectly sized solar setup, you're fully expecting rushing water, but instead, nothing. Just a complete system shutdown.
Okay, let's dive into this, because to figure out exactly why this happens, we kind of need to investigate the scene of the crime. Let's build out the scenario. So you've got this heavy-duty inverter. On paper, it's perfectly big enough to handle your borehole pump, right? But when you actually hit that switch, the system just flat out gives up instead of pumping water. The fault light blinks, and your fields, your home, or your livestock, they're left completely dry. Now, when that inverter clicks and shuts down, our immediate instinct is usually to blame the hardware. You're probably thinking, well, my inverter must be defective. Or, great, my pump is broken. But here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, your equipment is actually completely fine. The real failure is happening in the invisible space between your components. To understand why a supposedly big enough inverter fails like this, we have to completely change how we look at electricity moving through the system during that one critical moment you hit the power switch.
If you look around online, you're going to find a lot of what is basically, well, watt guessing. What most people think, and honestly what a lot of surface-level tutorials will tell you, is that your pump just needs more watts and therefore your inverter must be too small. The generic advice is always, hey, just buy a bigger inverter. But when we actually sit down and look at the engineering measurements, it turns out that generic advice is completely missing the mark. The real issue has almost nothing to do with steady-state wattage. The true culprit is actually the massive startup surge interacting directly with your DC cables. If we don't understand this specific interaction, we could literally go out, buy an inverter twice the size, and still experience the exact same frustrating failure.
To get to the bottom of this, we need to look at the fundamental physics of your borehole pump. See, a borehole pump acts as what's called an inductive motor load. Basically, that means the current required to simply get the motor spinning, the inrush current, is multiple times higher than the current it takes to just keep it running once it's already going. The extreme stress on your entire off-grid system doesn't happen, 5 minutes into pumping water. It happens in the very first second of operation. That first second is just a brutal, violent demand for energy.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how shocking the difference in power demand truly is. In a steady running state, you have a relatively small, manageable current that your inverter can handle all day long without even breaking a sweat. But during startup, that massive transient surge is like a gigantic gulp of power. Your system has to instantly absorb it the exact millisecond the pump turns on, the battery has to supply it, the cables have to carry it, and the inverter has to process it, all at the exact same time. If any single part of that chain chokes, the whole shebang goes down.
So why exactly does the system choke? Well, to answer that, we need to bring in our primary detective tool here, Ohm's law. V equals I times R. Or voltage drop equals current multiplied by resistance. This one simple equation basically reveals everything about our mystery. In a normal running state, your cable resistance, the R in this equation, might seem completely negligible, nothing to worry about. But remember that massive startup surge we were just talking about? That surge is your I, the current. When the current dynamically spikes in that first second, you are multiplying that massive number by your cable resistance. Suddenly, even a tiny bit of resistance causes an absolutely massive voltage drop.
Because here's the reality of the situation, folks. Voltage drop is not theoretical. It is physical. It's not just some abstract number on a generic cable sizing chart you might find online. It is a real-world, physical event happening right there inside your wires. When that surge hits, the voltage at the inverter terminals physically collapses. It sags dramatically. Your inverter is sitting there happily expecting a healthy 48 volts, or whatever your specific system runs on, and for a split second, that voltage just physically plummets.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a devastating chain reaction of system failure. It happens so fast. Step 1, the pump asks for the surge, and the battery attempts to supply it. Step 2, that massive current rushes through the cables, which, as we just learned, causes a dynamic voltage drop based on Ohm's law. Step 3, because the voltage dropped in the cable, the actual DC input voltage arriving at the inverter completely collapses. And finally, step 4, the inverter's internal computer detects this sudden low voltage, assumes the batteries are dead or that there's a critical fault, and instantly triggers its low voltage cutoff to protect itself. It either shuts down entirely or it gets stuck in this endless, frustrating restart loop.
So who's the real villain here? Everyone always points the finger at the inverter, but the true culprits are actually hiding in plain sight, right within your DC wiring path. It's the undersized DC cables that look thick enough to the eye but just aren't. It's those really long cable runs from the battery to the inverter that are adding hidden resistance with literally every extra foot. It's the loose terminal connections that maybe got forgotten and weren't torqued down properly. And sometimes, yeah, it's a weak battery whose internal resistance spikes under that heavy surge load. All these factors gang up to create the resistance that turns a normal startup surge into a system-crashing voltage collapse.
Because of all this, before you blindly go out and spend thousands on a bigger, more expensive inverter, the data strongly suggests going through a measurement-first diagnostic checklist. First up, rigorously check that DC cable size. Ask yourself, is it truly rated for the surge and not just the run? Second, measure the total cable run, and I mean the round trip, positive and negative. You want to keep that as short as physically possible. Third, actually get a wrench on those terminals and verify their tightness. A loose connection is basically just high resistance. And finally, test the battery under load to ensure it isn't sagging internally. Taking this approach, it's going to save your system, and for sure, it'll save your wallet.
Now, it is really important to highlight a crucial, serious safety warning here. We aren't just talking about the annoyance of a pump not starting. High transient surges forced through high-resistance paths create some severe physical dangers. We are talking about rapid cable overheating. We're talking about DC arcing, literally microsparks dancing inside loose terminals during that massive current draw. This can lead to permanent inverter damage and, most terrifyingly, a very real fire risk at those terminal points. It is absolutely vital to never test these high-load startup conditions without proper fusing and secure, tight DC protection in place.
So the crucial point is this: failure is not about power size, it is about voltage integrity. A borehole pump is not just a standard household appliance, it is a brutal stress test for your entire power system. Upgrading your inverter wattage does absolutely nothing if your DC cables are still choking the voltage during that initial startup surge. The whole system has to be engineered to maintain solid, unwavering voltage integrity, from the battery pole all the way to the inverter terminals, even under the most extreme split-second loads.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. I want you to look closely at your own off-grid setup and ask yourself this critical question. Is your system truly engineered for the surge, or is it just sized for the run? Because out in the real world, it's that very first second that dictates whether your fields actually get watered or if you're just left standing in the quiet listening to a failing inverter click. So stop guessing your watts, start protecting your voltage, and completely rethink your wiring path. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.